Shining a light on backroom politics and the good old boys. It's Wake Up Tucson with Joe Higgins and Christy Simone on AM 1030 KVOI, The Voice.
All right. Without further ado, he called in from all the way from, you say it, Missouri, right? Missouri. Kris Kobach, welcome to the Wake Up Tucson show, sir. What's going on?
Good morning.
Hey.
How are you doing?
All right, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. I was watching your Greta Van Susteren interview this morning on YouTube, and that was kind of funny. Every time you try to answer a question, she starts asking you another question. I thought that was pretty cute.
Yeah, a little cross-examination by Greta.
Well, Kris, you came onto my radar. I read a story up at the Arizona Republic over about a week ago or so, and kind of knew you were behind it, but I kind of looked into your background, and this is something you've been focusing on for quite a while, the role of immigration, and maybe you could give a little background of your history. You ran for Congress. You're a professor, and now you're running for Secretary of State in Missouri.
And also, why has illegal immigration for a guy from in Missouri has become a key issue for you? So
well, I should say I'm running for Secretary of State in Kansas. I live on the Kansas side of the state line, but I work for the University of Missouri, Kansas City.
Okay.
I served as counsel to the United States Attorney General when John Ashcroft was Attorney General in the Justice Department, and I was involved very much in getting state and local law enforcement agencies to assist the INS back then, before it was ICE, in the enforcement of our immigration laws. And back then, after 9/11, the Justice Department, the executive branch of the federal government, was very interested in getting the assistance of state and local law enforcement to be the eyes and ears of federal law enforcement when it comes to immigration laws. And after 9/11, I think many people forget that the 19 hijackers, 5 of the 19 hijackers were in the country illegally, and 4 of those 5 were given traffic citations by state and local law enforcement. And that highlighted for me and for others at the Justice Department the importance of cooperation between state and local law enforcement and ICE. And now that I'm outside of the Justice Department, I'm a law professor, and I litigate in defense of cities and states who are trying to do the right thing, trying to cooperate with the federal government. I've been involved with Arizona for the past 4 years, helping to defend some of Arizona's laws in court, and we have been successful defending those laws in court, laws that really act as a force multiplier for ICE and have been successful in discouraging illegal aliens from coming to or staying in Arizona. And that's what SB 1070 is all about.
So under the Ashcroft administration, or the Bush administration and Ashcroft, there was a push to engage and enlist local law enforcement for enforcement, and now it's kind of the opposite? I mean, it depends on who...
That's right, and now the Obama administration, for whatever reason, political reason or otherwise, does not seem to want to enlist the cooperation of state and local law enforcement, and it's really an insane approach, if I may use that word, because ICE only has about 6,500 interior enforcement agents trying to cover the entire country. I mean, a good-sized city will have more than 10,000 police officers. So the only way we can realistically enforce our immigration laws is if there's a cooperative relationship there, and that's what SB 1070 in Arizona fosters.
Well,
and
we had Senator McCain on about 2 weeks ago, and obviously he's up for election right now on the immigration issues front and center. Kris asked a great question. He said, Senator, since the early 80s, we've had Republicans in the White House and Democrats in the Senate and Republicans, all kinds of combinations, and this immigration issue continues to be, it's a federal job, and everybody kind of agrees to that. But it can, like after 86 and the Immigration Reform Acts and things, it's just been a lack of enforcement as a whole.
Lack of will. So why the lack of will from all these different combinations of Republicans and Democrats?
Well, it's an interesting issue because you have people who want to enforce the law in both parties. Namely, I count myself as a law enforcement Republican and a national security Republican. On the other hand, you have some Republicans who are more interested in cheap labor and not in enforcing the law, and they don't mind if that cheap labor ends up depressing the wages of U.S. workers, too. On the other hand, in the Democrat Party, you have blue-collar Democrats who want to protect the American worker, protect his wages, and protect his job against illegal competition. But you also have many, many Democrats nowadays who are more interested in placating ethnic lobbies, or are more interested in a very liberal agenda, which does not like the enforcement of immigration laws, indeed may even see immigration laws as inherently immoral. And so you have, in both parties, some people who want to see our laws enforced and some people who would rather see the rule of law go by the wayside. And I think it's fair to say that the Democrat Party today is more on the open borders side, and the Republican Party today, in 2010, is more on the law enforcement side. That contingent controls the party. And that's why you've seen failures to enforce our immigration laws in both Republican and Democrat administrations. But I think it should be said that the Bush administration of 2001 to 2009, you did see a much more aggressive enforcement of our immigration laws than, say, the Obama administration today.
Well, and Bush was the governor in Texas, so he understood the role of immigration and the impact on your community and social services.
Absolutely.
Well, of course, Arizona lucked out by having our great former governor be the Homeland Security Secretary, and she knows our problems, so she knew she was going to help out, and oof, what a bang-up job she's done.
Isn't it interesting how her perspective changed? Suddenly she becomes part of the administration. She talks about how the border is effectively under control. She talks about how, it's not... Arizona's law is not necessary, yet when she was governor, she was responding better to the people of Arizona and acknowledging the crisis that is the southern border.
Well, we are on the line with Kris Kobach, and Kris is a professor.
How do you say your last name?
Kobach.
Kobach. All right, and you were a professor in Texas, and you were behind kind of the drafting and the legal opinion on the SB1070. Did you? And Russell Pierce pushed it through at the state level. Did you work on the eVerify law that Arizona did back?
Yes, I did. I did, and that eVerify law, I'm sure many Arizonans know, was challenged in court and was upheld by the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, which is certainly not the most conservative court in the country. Mm-hmm. But the same crowd, the same organizations that are now, raising the hue and cry and claiming that SB 1070 is unconstitutional, they were making the same arguments about the Legal Arizona Workers Act, and they ultimately lost in court.
So, Kris, as you develop these laws and come out with these concepts, do you kind of look for a legislature in a political environment that would push it through and allow it to happen? Why Arizona? Is there other states that approached you on this kind of thing?
Many other states have approached me, and I've helped them. I didn't look for Arizona. I think, as you all know, the Arizona body politic has really been fed up, and so Arizona. Senator Russell Pierce came to me and said, "Hey, we're going to move on this legislation. We want to make sure it stands up in court. Can you help us draft it so that it will be bulletproof and will withstand the ACLU's arguments?" And so I did.
Let's get to the big here is the people who are crying about this. Of course, they love to go to the racial profiling excuse on this. This is it. This is the hot button thing. Even our idiot congressman calling for boycotts of his own state.
Hall & Oates this weekend is not coming to town.
Oh, another 300 people at a casino. We're going to miss them. Can't go for that. Can't go for that.
I saw a Hall & Oates concert when I was in high school. It really wasn't much. It really wasn't worth it anyway.
We're not missing anything.
You're not missing anything, no.
And that was when they were in their prime.
Kris, you're about our age. I'm 41. Kris is 22. So.
Thank you very much. Hey, so the racial profiling thing. So all this drama about racial profiling. It just seems like I don't see it in there, especially after they did the amendment to it, the addendum that said we're really going out of our way not to do this. To me, jerk cops are jerk cops, and they're still going to racially profile whether this thing exists or not. You know what I mean? And jerk cops need to go away.
Well, this law expressly prohibits racial profiling in 4 different places in the statute. I mean, it says race, color, or national origin shall not be considered in the enforcement of the law, and that's really important because 90%, 99% of the statutes on the books don't have any such prohibition against using racial profiling. So the Arizona statute goes above and beyond what a normal statute would do to prohibit racial profiling. So the people like your good congressman who wants to boycott his own state, they are either not reading the statute or they are being disingenuous when they say that this law will encourage racial profiling. It does exactly the opposite. It prohibits racial profiling. And that's been one of the most frustrating things that I have seen in trying to defend Arizona's statute in the court of public opinion. You have people misrepresenting it, and it's just outrageous the things they say. And in addition to the statute's terms, which prohibit racial profiling, you still have the 4th and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution, which are the normal protections against racial profiling. Those, too, will come into play. So to make the argument that 1070 encourages racial profiling